welcome to the latest episode of the Pine Stars. As you can tell, we're without our main man, Brad Snacks Bates, who's out working for the man right now. But in lieu of Brad, we have Coach Reddy starting us right from the top, coming off of a huge regional win. So, Coach, let's just dive right into it. You went out to Illinois Springfield, Brad's favorite team. I think he affectionately refers to as the Prairie Fuck Stars. And you fucked the stars, buddy. So take us through the regional, some highs, some lows, but ultimately walking out of there with your fourth regional championship.
Hey, I just have to say, first off, my 11-year-old son's in the car right now, and he is dying laughing.
I forgot he was there. It's the audience off camera that will get you.
Well, as usual, I will do my best to keep my part clean. It was a great series. It was a great tournament. The other three teams were very well deserving to be there. After game one, we, of course, if you watch game one, you saw Bodie hit a grand slam to take the lead, and it really gave us a lift. And then to see that lead disappear quick and get walked off, a lot of teams would not be able to come back from that. That was very disheartening. I think Bates told me that he smashed his remote control or whatever for his TV. I'm sure a lot of people did. But when I got home, or we got back to the hotel that night, considering the events of the next game, UIS, by the way, in our game, they used a lot of pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
And they had used two, as a matter of fact, of their weekend starters in that game, in game one versus us. And then in the next game, UMSL versus Wayne State, UMSL also used two weekend starters.
Mm.
And so when the day was over, you're sitting there evaluating and you're saying, okay, well, and we can get past Wayne State the next day, we're going to play the loser of UIS and UMSL, who are both going to use another starter in that game. It's pretty much back on even ground. However, we use much of our bullpen in each of the first two games. Even taking the loss to UIS, Aiden Pearson threw, I think he got into the eighth inning in that game. And then, of course, the next game against Wayne State, Aiden Tran also got into the seventh or the eighth inning. And so, we really didn't have much of we didn't tax our bullpen very, very much in the first two games. The other two teams, UMSL and UIS, had used two weekend starters apiece up to that point before they faced each other, and most of their bullpen. So I felt really good, really, really good about being able to come through the losers bracket and win that regional, and that's exactly what happened.
Well,
So Al,
go ahead, Gary.
what was the morale of the team? Obviously, you're up, you were down most of the game against UIS, right? You kind of take the lead and then goes into extras and lose it right on the walk off. What was the morale of the team kind of after the game, leading into game two? And they kind of talk about the morale of the team as the tournament progressed a little bit.
Well, the first half of this whole season, this isn't the first time that we've experienced a kind of a heartbreaking loss. Baseball's not, anybody can play great baseball when things are going well. And, we've been hit in the mouth before, and it's all about what you do afterwards, and I feel like our guys were prepared for that moment. I always say in big games, something bad is going to happen to both teams. And when it does, whoever handles it the best is going to probably win the game. And that's exactly what happened. I think that we've just been programmed to handle those types of moments. And the resilience to this bunch is just off the charts.
Yeah.
I think we got back to the hotel and I I really didn't see. I mean, I really didn't see any doubt on anybody's face that we weren't going to continue to play well in the tournament and have a chance to win. You know.
Yeah. Well, and you come out of that first game, like you said, a little bit of a heartbreak, but man, what a what a ninth inning. That grand slam to kind of get you in the game, take the lead. To me, that was the epitome of tournament baseball, right? Like it's just that moment, down to 2 outs, last moment, and Bodie hits a bomb. Now, granted, took it to extras, but even when you went to extras, as I was watching, I said, they're going to get this game.
Yeah.
I thought you guys had that one, but then you bounce back that next game, Wayne State, you blank them 10-0.
Yeah.
Like you said, road Aiden Tran that game. That's got to feel good. And then it had to be one of those moments where like nobody better to knock UMSL out of this tournament than you guys.
Well, that's the team UMSL that probably matched up the best against us. And but even then, I knew they were going to throw Cartwright. They had told me they were going to throw Cartwright. Cartwright was the GLVC pitcher of the year. He's the one who started against Wayne State for them in game one. So he was on 1 day's rest, and he'd throw on 70 pitches.
Wow.
And I was kind of really thinking, well, man, this really favors us because he walks. He already doesn't. I mean, he's a good pitcher, but he relies on the other team to swing outside the zone. And here the Greyhounds are. We lead the country in walks now, I believe. We're either first or second. I mean, we talked about that last week.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to throw a guy that doesn't really throw strikes, overall against a team that walks more than anybody else in the country on 1 day's rest where he threw 70 pitches. Wrap your mind around that. When I went to bed that night, I was like, oh, man, this is good. They did have a really good bullpen arm, Dustin Haggins, really good bullpen arm, who honestly had just owned us up to this point. He had a couple of 2 or 3 appearances, I believe, in the regular season series at our place. Games that went into extra innings. They were all tight games, but games where I feel like we would normally score and probably win those games. He held us down, and that was a big reason why they beat us 3 out of 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, he shut us down in the conference tournament. We had faced Cartwright again in the conference tournament after beating him on the regular season. We faced him in the conference tournament and had him out of the game. I got in the 4th or 5th inning. We got him out of the game, and they brought in Haggins, and he was able to keep us off the scoreboard, and they chipped away and came back and won that game. And so Haggins had really done well against us, but I remember in the regular season series, there was one of those extra inning games where he had pitched 3 innings, and he has a really good fastball. He's, up to 94. He was up to 94, 95 in the conference tournament and as well. But the longer he goes, it drops off pretty quick. And I think I remember him, at our place dropping off in his third inning of work into like 87, 88. And I told the guys, I said, look, if we can get Cartwright out of the game. I mean, these are 9-inning games. There's no run rule in the NCAA tournament. They have to go a full 9. So if we can get Cartwright out of the game, they're going to bring in Haggins, but he's, max 3 innings, And sure enough, Haggins came in, I think, in the 4th or 5th inning. And, or maybe, no, it was less than that. It was, he was the first guy that brought out. It might have been the 3rd inning. Mm-hmm. And he gave him 3 2/3, but he dropped off pretty quick. And we hit 2 or 3 home runs against him. And, we were very disciplined compared to the other 3 outings that he had against us. Very disciplined. I mean, he's a strike thrower on paper, and he throws hard, obviously. He's got a really good slider, but only because most teams put themselves behind in the count by swinging at the fastball up, that's a ball, and the slider down, that's also a ball. Yeah. And we were a little bit more disciplined this time and found ourselves in some better counts. And got his pitch count up too as well. And so that 3 innings of work, it ended up being 3 2/3, I think he went. And when he came out, I think we had the lead. Now they might have tied it up, but I knew that what they had left in the bullpen down there was very favorable for us. And The guy they brought in, Johnson, actually, he was a really good, strategy the way they did it with Cartwright, left-handed, hard-throwing lefty. Then they switch over to a harder throwing righty with the wipeout slider. And then they bring in Johnson, who was their game one starter all year long, which was, a low 80s guy, but he pitches off his changeup mostly. And he did actually have us off balance for 3 or 4 innings. I mean, I think we might have maybe scored a run or two off him, but it wasn't until the ninth or the 10th. No, it was extra innings. It was the 10th inning when we erupted for, 4 or 5 runs and kind of put the game out of reach at that point. But that UMSL game, that was the one that's the team that matched up the best against us, in the tournament. Then once we won that game, I knew UIS had one starting pitcher left and not much of a bullpen. And the rain too. A lot of people, didn't take this into consideration. We had rain on Saturday. We were supposed to play UIS immediately following that UMSL game. And had that happened, UIS could have went home, that night, and after losing and had hit the reset button, sleep in your own bed, get, shower, sleep, get a good night's sleep, hit the reset button. But that rain pushed that championship game to Sunday. And I knew, hey, we beat them the first game. They got one starting pitcher left. They're going to have to turn around and play us again 30 minutes later. It's not going to be good, and sure enough, we jumped out to a 5-1 lead in the second game on Sunday, and really never looked back. I mean, they scored some runs, but we just, I knew we were going to continue to score the whole game. I think we scored 7 of the 9 innings. We scored 2 or more runs in 7 of those 9 innings, too.
Yeah. Well, you talked about it before. You get in these boxing matches, and that's right up your alley. And that's what that UMSL game was, a back and forth. You guys go into the 7th before it's 8-8, and then after that, you guys, took the lead and kept the lead. A little bit of back and forth there in the 10th. You put up, I think, a 6 spot. But even then, looking the little things that you had talked about, looking at your pitching versus their pitching, they couldn't. They didn't keep the ball in the ballpark. 2 is they gave 5 free passes.
Yeah.
And then once they did that, they had 3 wild pitches. They had an intentional walk. On top of that, where you guys did a really good job of not giving away the free stuff. And you've talked about that. You played clean baseball, 14 runs on 14 hits with no errors with UMSL. And then if I'm UMSL and I throw my 1 and 2 best arms out there and I can't beat you, now I know it's a fight. And again, I think that goes back to that fits really well into this team's mentality. And if I'm sitting there and I'm Illinois Springfield, the last team I want to see is UIndy come through there.
Well, I think the last thing anybody wants to see is UIndy coming into town. But yeah, I don't know if you could tell on the championship game either, but the wind was blowing 20 miles an hour out to left field. And again, I told our guys, I said, look, ball's going to leave the yard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, unless you bounce it in there every time. I mean, they get the ball up in the air, it's probably going to go. So
yeah,
when that happens, let's make sure there's not a walk or a hit batter, or something like that, or a couple of them on base in front of the guy when it happens. And again, I think we did a pretty good job of controlling that. I'm not saying we were perfect in that regard, but we were better than the other team. And we hit our fair share too as well. And I do think it came down to the freebies, so to speak, that were based in front of those big flies.
Yep.
Al, I'm not one for message boards or anything like that, but Bates, I sent a couple things over from some D2 message boards and things. It's kind of like never count the hounds out. All right. It's past couple years, you guys made it to the supers, typically the lowest seed. I mean, I think this year you're the lowest seed to make the supers, right? Everybody's 1 or 2 seed, maybe have a 5 in there, but you guys are the 7, right? Kind of that dark horse coming in. Now you go up against Grand Valley State at Grand Valley State, and their host there. What's the outlook for Grand Valley State?
Yeah,
Obviously you haven't played them.
yeah,
What's your take on them?
this postseason has the feel of 2023. We were the 7th seed in 2023 as well, and we ironically the regional was held in the same weekend, same venue, same opening day opponent in UIS, and we won that tournament, and then we went to Quincy, who is ranked number 1 in the regional, or in the region. They had 50 something wins. They had 150 something home runs. We walked into their ballpark and we beat them the first 2 games. And that's my prediction against Grand Valley. I think Grand Valley is, a team that they're 48-8, I believe. So haven't experienced a whole lot of adversity. So they're a team that hasn't been punched in the mouth yet, And so how are you going to react? Like I said, something bad is going to happen to both teams in probably each game. And it's, what are you going to do? How are you going to react when it does happen? If you look at the common opponents too as well, I believe, we don't have a huge amount of common opponents for Grand Valley, but the ones we do, like they split with Wayne State. I know we only played Wayne State one time, but we beat the crap out of them. And Grand Valley split 2-2 with Wayne State. I think they lost 2 out of 3 to Maryville. They lost 2 out of 3 to Maryville. We only played Maryville one time, but we beat Maryville. They lost to Drury. I know we split with Drury. The only common opponent I think that they had a lot more success against was Missouri S&T. I think they swept Missouri S&T in a 4-game.
Early in the year they did, yeah.
At least once, if not twice, in the regional. And we only played S&T a couple times, but I think we scored close to 20 runs in those 2 games against S&T. So it was our defense that kind of led to our demise in those 2 games. And I'll tell you what, we played really good defense in the regional, and they got turf up there, and I would expect more of the same. So they're a program that relies on the double and the homer. They do steal a lot more than what a lot of teams do. Like they probably at the same rate we do. But I will say this, Chase Mason, I mean, if you look at his, we do not give up steals. So teams that typically run, when that's good for us, because they're going to give us a few outs on the bases, and then they're going to shut it down. And when they shut it down because it's not working out for them, they sit around and they're like, oh, what, we can't, we have to sit around and wait on the double or the homer. And I think it's going to be blowing in too as well. I was looking at that the other day too. So things could be, again, the stars could be aligning for us.
Yeah, and I
don't want to give away my click to pick. I don't want to give away my click to pick, but Chase Mason's my click to pick this week. So
that's a good one.
Maybe for a reason. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and Alex,
pretty much everybody's playing well right now. So I mean, no matter who you pick, you probably have.
Well, I mean, you got some guys that stepped in. I know Nathan Jessup came in, popped one out of the yard for you in the tournament.
Yeah. He off Haggins, and he hit one off of the next day against UIS too as well.
Well, that, and then we talked about some of the guys in the order. Brett Perry and Joey Humphrey both were playing really well, swinging the bat well, kind of helping clog the bases up for you, because when the big hitters come through, everybody knows about Bodie and what he does. Kind of hard to hide the player of the year in the conference in your lineup. But guys, like you had said all year, guys working walks, getting on bases, getting some timely hits. To me, with where you've got the teams, kind of what you talked about earlier in the year, you said, I'm not worried. We're trading wins and losses here. Do really good winning streaks throughout the year. But then you get tournament time, you say, yep, this is what we're built for. So now you travel north, you go up to Grand Valley. I just think you guys get to go play ball. The pressure's on them.
Oh, 100% it is, And, I think too, I also have to mention too, my assistant coaches have done a fantastic job with our reports and our game planning and everything else. I mean, like anytime you put together a scouting report in baseball, it's probably going to change slightly throughout the course of a series. But our guys have, I really like to know everything I can about my opponent. And the first half of the season, it's hard to to know everything about who you're playing because the data is just not there.
Yeah.
It's not, especially early in the season. But once we hit that halfway point, you talk about those winning streaks. Our second half, I think we went 20-6,
Yeah.
lead into the conference tournament, and or 20-4 maybe. I think we were 20-6 at or 18-4. We were 20-6, I think, after the conference tournament. I think you have to check me on that one, but nonetheless, it's a heck of a run. But a lot of that is, due to the fact that our we just had a lot more information and spot on type information on who we were playing, and I had to tip my cap again to the assistants coaches that really busted their tails, especially Josh Foreman and Connor Heinerman, my pitching guy, putting together the pitch planning and really watched a lot of video. Of course, EJ Davari, our hitting guy, is watching the other team's pitchers. He's also doing our defensive alignments too as well. I mean, there was really good information. I felt more comfortable with the information we had on these teams second half than ever before in any other season before too as well. And so when you have the information, it's just a matter of having your guys buy in and then execute. And if you look at these past 4 seasons, four regional championships, and we're in our 4th super regional. We've won 2 of those as well. Hopefully we'll get another one here this weekend. But when you look at those numbers, it's just like, well, how does that happen? Well, that's exactly how it happens. By the end of the season, we're spot on our reports, and our players have bought in and they execute. And that's where we're at.
Yeah. Well, and there's 2 important things there. One, you put your players in a position to succeed, right? You take the information, take the way they're playing, set them up. But 2, the best winning streak you had is the 4-game winning streak you're on right now. I mean,
oh yeah,
as well as you guys have played the second half of the year, Kurt alluded to it. Getting knocked out of the conference tournament, dropping that first game. Not everybody bounces back from that. You guys turned around, fired 4 straight games off to set yourselves up. So, yeah, man, it's been fun to watch this season. We're happy to continue it on for another week here. As you guys get ready to head north, what's kind of the final message to the boys here? Is you got another road trip, hopefully 2, coming up here.
Yeah, no, I mean there really isn't a final message. I mean, I'm going to steal one of the old birds, old sayings: "The hay's in the barn." They asked, on the call the other day, well, Grand Valley's going to practice for 2 hours, so you get a 2-hour time slot. I said, well, you just give us an hour. We just need an hour on the field, take some batting practice, go back, get something to eat, and we're ready to play. If we could play the game right now, I would. Our team's ready to go.
Yeah. No, if it ain't broke, Al.
That's right.
Oh,
Definitely
well,
not broken. I can tell you, it's a machine. When the machine starts spinning, man, it is hard to stop it.
Yeah.
Just keep it lubed. Just keep it lubed.
That's actually where Brad's at. He's out picking up extra lube. He's going to drive it north for you so you guys have it. But he couldn't be here today.
P. Diddy Bates on the road.
And I think no comment on that.
Yeah, that's probably the right move.
No comment needed.
All right, Al. With that, we will let you go. We're stoked to be back for another week. We're planning for next week, but awesome job in the regional. 4 straight regional titles is pretty impressive. So best of luck to you taking the boys north. Get a good hour of practice, eat well, sleep well, and then take it to them.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Look forward to it, Al. Good luck, man.
All right.
Keep it rolling.
All right. See you, man.
Rempy, I think, I don't know if they have a nickname, but Cardiac Hounds sounds like it. I mean, all year long, Cardiac Hounds. Up, down, tied, win streaks, losses.
Yeah.
Cardiac Hounds.
Al probably had to hit CVS up to update his prescription before he goes, because there's no way that blood pressure's down.
No way. Well, hey, you want to I know we're running short on time here. I already gave my click to pick and Chase Mason.
Yep.
So I know Bates had a right-in click to pick, and you can kind of
Yep.
throw yours in there. And
Yeah, I was actually double checking that for old Snacks there. He went with Bates is rolling with Gavin Duran. I'm not singing the song that he sang last time. So if he wants to record him
no,
singing that song, go right ahead. But um, Gavin had a huge weekend, both offensively and defensively. So that's Brad's pick for the click to pick for this week in the Super. I'm torn.
okay. What's yours?
I didn't know which way to go. So I'm going to do an honorable
Go with two.
mention.
Go with
I'm going
two.
to go honorable
Hey,
mention um,
okay.
with what Drake Downing did coming out of the pen. I thought was
Mm-hmm.
huge. That you look at kind of piecing together, as Al talked about getting a lot out of his starters, but games go extra innings or guys are turning around on short notice. I thought Drake was really awesome. So Drake, congratulations. Awesome job. Keep that rolling. My click to pick, and this is not the first time I've picked him, and I think I'm a little biased, but he just seems to come up with big
No
hits when
surprise there.
needed. I'm going with Boss Baby. I just think he's going to get up there. He's kind of the
You stick with what you know. You're a
right,
creature of habit.
right. He wears number 5.
We've had probably 15 episodes, and you've picked him probably 12 times. So
Yeah, at least. And I'm going to roll with him again. But bottom line, what it boils down to, like we said with Coach Reddy, they got nothing to lose. Just go play some ball. And
nothing to
this
lose.
is their role.
Play loose. Yeah, I mean they've been in the situation before, right? So, no pressure on them. The pressure's on Grand Valley State, the 1 seed. They're expected to get there. You know, the Hounds are the dark horse coming out as the 7 seed in here, lowest seed in the tournament. I mean, we were talking earlier. You said what? They're the St. Peter's Peacocks, right?
That's
Of
right.
a couple years ago.
Yeah, they're going to take down Purdue again. Uh, I think this is kind of set up just like Al talked about. They had an up and down, start to the season, but they were kind of rolling the right direction, get on a couple of nice win streaks, but set up to roll into the Super. And I don't even think they need all 3. I think they're going to take 2, and I think that's all they need.
Get it too. Yeah. Make a statement. End of the year statement. Roll back in the carry, stamp your ticket, and let's see how the cards play out from there. So,
Yep. Amen.
It's been a great season up to this point. I don't want to see it end. And you've got at least 2 more games, then ideally rolling back in the carry. So
Yep.
they've been a staple at carry, and that's been impressive.
Yeah, they don't even have to get directions. They know where Carrie is.
Yeah.
Go
there with their eyes closed.
Yeah. So that's the expectation. I think with the way they're playing, we're going to go up north, get 2, come home, pack bags, head to Cary, North Carolina.
Love it.
Oh,
all right.
All right. Well, boys, best of luck to you. Keep doing what you're doing. We're behind you. Brad from the road is getting any amenities you might need. He's going to get his hands on, make sure those get delivered.
Not sure what those amenities are, but
The lube for the machine.
Well, lube
one.
for sure. Yeah, that's
then
sure. Keep that machine rolling.
You can send Cinnaminis. I think they'd appreciate that.
Those don't travel well. All right, hey, go get them, Cardiac Hounds. Looking forward to an exciting weekend. Ideally, pull it off in 2, but hey, if we got to take 3 to get out of there, then make it 3. But set those sights high with Carrie again, and let's see where the cards fall. I'm looking forward to it, and not ready for this train to end.
Yep, same. Good luck, boys.